Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Would you describe yourself as a white supremacist?
I'm not a white supremacist, no.
But there's really no mistaking his racist message.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
No matter how much he tries to talk around it.
The fact is, only white people can support what we call Western civilization.
Richard Spencer is the self-professed leader of what he calls the alt-right movement. He comes across as polished, and he seems to be trying to dial back the neo-Nazi imagery he's become infamous for, without much success.
So what would that look like if you had your way in the United States? How would you go through a process of removing people who are not white?
They've come here, and therefore they could go home. You can go home again. There are ways of, whether it's a direct payment.
What would you say,
Direct
though,
payment.
if Mexican Americans or African Americans said, hey, we're going to pay all the white people to leave and go back to Europe?
An interesting prospect. I'm very flexible.
Obviously, that's not likely to happen, and Spencer is even banned from traveling to most European countries because of his views.
Oh, too bad. I thought we solved it right there. Didn't you think that was it? I was so excited. First of all, how did that CNN reporter keep a straight face talking to this guy with the fashy hairdo? How, I mean, you know, the only way this is ever going to go out of style is if Macklemore changes it. You know what I mean? Because this is what this doozy is. It's the Macklemore. But, you know, this is the white supremacist last night who went to Texas A&M to recruit the young children. For those of you who are afraid of the pedophilia and are, you know, shooting up pizza and ping pong joints, looking for the tunnels. Look no further. This guy is looking for young boys to recruit to his white supremacy, to his, neo-Nazi group. I mean, it's the sickest thing. But, I mean, okay, so let's just look at what Richard Spencer did last night. He went to Texas A&M where, you know, nearly dozens of people showed up to hear him speak. Ooh. Nearly dozens. Thousands showed up to protest him. Nearly dozens showed up to share his viewpoint that America can only succeed with white people in control of it. You know, can I just tell you something? America, first of all, is not a white country. It never was a white country. It was kind of a red country, and then we imported black people. Well, we didn't import them. We enslaved them. We shipped them over here like chattel, and then we inspected their teeth and put them to work to build our nation. Yeah, that's what we did. It's pretty disgusting, but that's what we did. It's a shameful past. Shameful, I tell you. But, you know, okay, let's just say that this country was only white people. Let's just imagine a world in which America is, just all white. Well, there would be no music. You understand that, except for Barbra Streisand.
Hello.
But that's the Jewish influence because Marvin Hamlish. Right? Marvin Hamlish, Burt Bacharach. You know. How was she, by the way? I mean, we didn't even talk yesterday.
We didn't get a chance,
because
Barbara.
we were very busy engineering yesterday because people couldn't refresh their podcast. So,
and Roy was here. Roy.
Yeah.
Amazing. Miami.
Did you cry? Did you cry?
I wept.
You wept?
I was weepy. It was amazing. And you know, she announced it's going to be a special Netflix. They recorded it for television for Netflix.
Oh, I get to see.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Fabulous.
Well, that explains the purple sparkle on the the rejoin right there. I noticed. I thought either Prince had died again, God rest his soul, or he saw Barbra Streisand.
And the sparkle is back. I've got the sparkle again, yes.
We needed some sparkle. We were looking for something holiday-ish, but of course, you know, the Barbra Streisand Jewish, Hamlish influence would produce only things in blue and white, and it's too Swedish, and I'm depressed today because the Swedes have announced at IKEA 16 weeks of paid parental leave. Oh, wait, there's more. For part-timers, too. We're doing great with the white people here. We're doing great. All right. So again, if this country was only run by the white people, there would be no music. Everybody knows we can't dance. Our hips don't do that. It just doesn't happen. I have to explain this every time I go to a Latin American country. I have to say, no puedo bailar. And they go, ¿por qué no? Porque mi calderas no mover. No puedo mover. My hips won't move. That's why. So we do the white man's overbite and the Tuesday, you know. All the music in this country, all of it, every last bit of it, came from jazz. African American jazz and blues in the Deep South, and then you want to eradicate it? What would you be left with? You know what your European food is? Do you have any idea what it is? It's kidneys and tripe. I mean, when the Europeans came here, they nearly starved to death. The Indians took so much pity upon ye that they taught you how to grow maize and corn products. Oh, speaking of that, so now we're going to have the Iowa governor, Branstad, is that his name? Mm-hmm. He's going to be our ambassador to China, which is great because he understands grain and pork bellies, which is pretty much what we trade with China, which is why they picked him. It's not a bad pick. Of all the picks that it could have been, could have been better. Could have been somebody that actually spoke the language. That would be nice. But Branstad, he's very familiar apparently with China. He's had them over to Iowa. He's fed them the pork products. And, the whole world loves pork. The whole world loves pork. And, you can't thank the Europeans for that. So anyway, I thought we had the solution to Richard Spencer right there last night because that reporter who couldn't, how she kept a straight face, she should get a Daytime Emmy Award. That was quite the performance. Just talking to him as if he's like a real guy. Did you see? Just like a real guy. And he's not, but...
You studied history, right? A lot of people, the reason they don't like you is because they have studied history too. And they see a lot of the things that you say as being very similar to Hitler and other
Oh my God, she went there. That's CNN. A lot of people who don't like you, you've studied history, right? And a lot of people who don't like you is because they've studied history too. And your views don't seem like American views. They seem a lot like Hitler.
Who were responsible for mass genocide.
I find this all very amusing, and this is the social justice warrior who will say, you're literally Hitler. And yes, I've heard this.
Oh, what a whiny little baby. Oh, he's like Hitler. Now I understand why all these crazies are like that. They're all a bunch of little baby boys. They're all a bunch of little man-childs. They haven't grown up. Donald Trump himself is a man-child. Do you understand? We now have, for the first time in our life, we don't have a paternal image in the White House, whether it was George Herbert Walker Bush or, the closest to a child-like president we ever got was W. I have a strategery. He was and he wore a codpiece and he said mission accomplished, whatever, that was the closest we ever got to a man-child. But Donald Trump is a 70-year-old man-child, meaning there is no chance that he will evolve into a man. There's not a chance. Anyway, now I get it because Richard Spencer just showed you they're such man-children, all of them. But they, I thought she had really nailed it there. She said, he said that what he's after is a deportation, but they would pay people. They would pay non-white people, which is pretty much everybody in this country. I don't know anybody pure except me. I'm a freaking Viking. But he said he would pay non-white people to leave the country. And she said, well, what if we paid you and we could send you back, And I just thought that, and he said he was open. He said
only white people can support what we call Western civilization.
Richard Spencer is the self-professed leader of what he calls the alt-right movement. He comes across as polished, and he seems to be trying to dial back the neo-Nazi imagery he's become infamous for, without much success.
So what would that look like if you had your way in the United States? How would you go through a process of removing people who are not white?
They've come here, and therefore they could go home. You can go home again. There are ways of, whether it's a direct payment.
What would you say, though, if Mexican Americans or African Americans said, hey, we're going to pay all the white people to leave and go back to Europe?
An interesting prospect. I'm very flexible.
Oh, yeah, baby!
Oh, my.
Crowdfunding. Let's do it. Let's do. Want to? I mean, I could throw it up there in about a half a second. Let's do a GoFundMe to get, I don't know, we could get like some some rickety inner tube and put him and his near dozens of supporters on that and just sail them on out. You know what? We could actually do this in style. Why should we be, why would we be creepy about? You know what we could do? They have these repositioning cruises. Great idea, right? A repositioning cruise is after the season is over. Let's say it's Mediterranean cruising season, okay? And the ship is just sailing around the Mediterranean just in a big circle, woo, woo, with passenger after passenger, right, week after week after week. And then all of a sudden the Mediterranean season ends and they decide, oh, let's move it over to the Caribbean. It's the Caribbean season. We'll take people all around the Caribbean islands in big round circles, woo, woo, and pollute that ocean. We'll do that. So they have these repositioning cruises where the cruise ship is now leaving from the East Coast and it's going to go back to Europe. But it's only a one-way and there are no ports. So they can't escape. You see what I mean? And you could do some bargain brand cruise line, like the ones that you always see on the news didn't make it exactly, like Costa or something like this, one of these cruise, and put them all, him and his near dozens on a repositioning cruise. I think an inside cabin. I'm thinking an inside cabin, right? Repositioning. What should that cost? I mean, we don't have to buy the drinks or anything. The meals are included. So all we have to do, and there's a shower so we can wash and feed them. They can wash themselves and feed them. Okay. So I'm figuring $600, $500 a person. $500 a person times 12. We get a discount. Yeah, we do. So $500 a person for a dozen people is like $3,000. $6,000. No, it would be. Oh yeah, $6,000. All right, so let's do a GoFundMe and put Richard Spencer and his dozens of loyal followers, his white supremacists, on a one-way cruise to Europe. In fact, let's make it go to England, but not London. Let's put it on, on the other coast. You know what I mean? We'll put them over there, and then they can migrate wherever they want inside the European continent. Let's do that. I mean, they're all about Brexit anyway, right? And England has left the European. They have absolutely nothing to. I mean, they've got their homeland. They do. This is their homeland. This is where they want to go. And if we could afford, if we do raise $6,000 on a GoFundMe, then maybe we should make the goal $10,000 and put Alex Jones on it too. Yeah. Alex Jones and his staff. He's got a very large operation. Oh, I mean, this is getting. That this is like what's all over the newspapers today, is how. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to say thank you to the people at Texas A&M, the Aggies. You guys were amazing last night, absolutely amazing. Your university president was amazing. The people who protested and the freshman, I think his name was. Spencer started heckling a guy named Boothman. And a freshman named Jalen Brown stood in solidarity with his peers. They locked arms. They stared back at the white nationalist and said white supremacy is dangerous and insanely harmful as a concept. Boothman said, I hate it in all forms. Quentin Boothman, he was a white freshman. He stood up in the front and he faced Spencer and he silently held a sign with an image of a gun pointed toward Adolf Hitler's face. And underneath his meme, it said, follow your leader. So, the people at Texas A&M, at the university themselves, they were like disgusted with this. And the only reason why this happened is because Texas A&M is a public university. And what they do make available is a private citizen can rent a public room from Texas A&M, and so some Yahoo actually did do that, and that's how Richard Spencer got a place on the campus to do this. But Amy Smith, the president, the senior vice president of Texas A&M, she said that his views are in direct conflict with our core values, but they respect free speech, and he wasn't invited as a guest of Texas A&M. He was invited by some, crazy dude who said, he thinks that Spencer's making sense. He rented the room. Spencer went into the room, and near dozens followed him into the room. This is the guy that actually booked the room. Here, wait, show you him.
This is the man who invited white nationalist Richard Spencer to speak at Texas A&M University. Preston Wigginton knows it will be controversial. He knows most people don't want this event to take place.
What do you think of Richard Spencer?
I think he has some valid points.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
The Nazi-era wording, the Nazi-era imagery at this gathering in Washington, D.C., upsetting to so many.
Yeah, he has a valid point. This is America. He has a valid point. Nazism, could have a place here, could have a home. Could be a good thing. So anyway, they were great at Texas A&M. Just so that you know, I don't want to, make it seem as if that college, that university was in any way in league with or for the appearance. No, this Wiggin thing, he's the one that rented the room, and it was a room. And Richard Spencer was invited to talk in that room that this other guy had paid for. And like I said, almost 24 people showed up to hear him, but a lot of protesters. So I don't think it's going to sell. If it doesn't sell in Texas, the white supremacy, and maybe you ought to try Mississippi, Alabama. But let's get rid of them.
Clear for takeoff.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.